Alright guys, so here's a quick look at what we've done to mock up our brake ducts from BMW Motorsports Racing M2 CSR. We've made some templates, as you'll see. Just cut them out with some cardboard for left and rights, and we laid some tape out here. We made some reference lines. We just scribed a straight line through the corner of the headlight here and the parking sensors. We also are just measuring from here to the edge of each to get them spaced evenly, as well as this height here from the bumper, and they basically just touch up here at the headlight. So nothing super scientific or super perfect, but it's going to be close enough for us. They look visually pretty good. We've stood back and taken a look at them a few times, used a few different things like angle gauge and whatnot to try and get everything right. So we're gonna just kind of fine tune these. We're gonna cut slow. We're first just gonna cut the hole to kind of lay them in there and continue to cut away as needed until the brake duct sits nicely in the bumper, and then we'll mount it and we'll show you how we do that. What is really cool are these lower corner bumper vents. We've already fitted one. We are going to go ahead and trim a lot of this inner structure, but the coolest part is these literally just pop right in. So we'll be supplying the part numbers down below, but you can go ahead and literally just like put these on your car and pop them in. Oops. Not gonna do it right now, because it kind of takes two hands and I want to clean in here real good before we do. But yeah, you guys get the idea. These literally will just pop right in on your M2 and protect your corner coolers here for your, one is for your heat exchanger for the engine, and the other is for the auxiliary cooling system for the rest of the engine. So really cool components that you can just buy and retrofit to your BMW M2 CSR. We're also going to be retrofitting the front piece here and the little corner vent here. Get rid of the bag, retrofitting these bad boys into the car. This is actually this side, but nonetheless, you get the idea. These are metal. They have little Cleco clip pins that pop in and spring load and keep tension on this piece and keep it from falling out. Very cool. Can't wait to get all these fitted and really protect these coolers. As you can see, they've already been damaged quite a bit, and there's quite a bit of rocks and debris and dirt in there, and road and tire. So we're gonna be able to get all that out of there and hopefully prevent a lot of that in the future. So nonetheless, let's go ahead, let's get some holes popped in this bumper. We're gonna take the bumper off to cut it and get these bumper vents mounted. All right guys, so what I've done here is kind of taken our template and slightly gone down a little bit to give us some meat all the way around. Just kind of moved it back, gave us some radiuses. And then I took a hole saw, this is just to get us kind of going, put it right up in there so we have some room for the edge to sit on, but still just slightly back. Punch the center hole, punch a drill bit through it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and spin this on, and I'm gonna basically do the same thing here as I did down here and get two radiuses going, and then connect them with a little die grinder, cut them, and then slowly with a Dremel, just kind of start dremeling this out until the brake duct fits nice and perfectly in there. So we'll go ahead and take our drill now with our hole saw. Not gonna do this one-handed, but you guys get the idea, and drill through the bumper. So let's go ahead and get our first hole cut in this thing. All right guys, you can see we've punched two holes now through the bumper. I'm gonna go ahead and get a die grinder out and just connect these bad boys, and then we'll go ahead and put our brake duct pocket in and see how that does. The reason we use a hole saw is it gives us a nice round bevel, and that'll make it easy for die grinding to get this nice and smooth between them and make it look like a nice clean cut. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep moving on. As you can see here, we've refitted the bumper to the car. We didn't show you, but we did have to trim the bumper foam. So we put it on, we saw where we had to trim the bumper foam. It looked like we were going to be able to fit the air duct without trimming the bumper, and you can. We'll see in here. We'll have to move that fan right there, or the horn, I mean, my bad, right down here in the corner of the screen, and go through that section with our brake duct cooling hose. But the thing barely fits. It's just a little tight on the bumper. So we're gonna go ahead and probably trim this a little more, and we're gonna trim this a little more and see if we can't make that fit slightly better. Then we'll go ahead and mount this permanently for the first time and figure out where to route the brake duct cooling hose. But standing back, looking at that, man, does it look sweet. So ready to get these fitted on the car. We'll go ahead and show you the finished look. All right guys, we just found something quite hysterical out about these bumper vents. So we've got the one mounted here. We've gone ahead and cut our holes to fit the secondary one here. The super funny thing is, these horns here, right, are in the way of where our brake duct hose is gonna go through. It's gonna come right through here and go down right where this horn is. Well, I was looking at it and just went, I wonder if the right will fit on the left and the left will fit on the right, and just move them just where we need to be. Well, if you look, there's this little tang here, this little finger. If you look in there, let me see if I can get the light in there. You'll see the little finger there. Well, if you were to just kind of put this finger where that finger is, it would move the horn completely out of the direction of where we need it to be, which is perfect. It's literally gonna just bolt right back in on a factory bracket. The harness has enough length that it'll route to it, and everything is literally gonna look like it never was played with. Such a funny thing. You could probably even rotate this a little bit if we needed to, but I don't know that we will. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and get that one off the car and get it swapped over to the other side so we can see how that looks. Super funny though. All right guys, so the hack is gonna work. The key to making it work like OEM fitment is to remove the front bumper support and slightly trim it. So let me show you that. So as you can see here, should have shown you before, but we basically cut off a chunk of the corner on the bumper support, which is going to allow for a little bit additional room to rotate the horn the opposite way so the plug is facing the factory direction and the harness doesn't have to be extended. There is a sub harness we could modify. You could do it like that and make it work without trimming the bumper. It's just very tight fitment. We chose to cut it because I believe it's gonna look better and fit better and be more OEM. Also, either way, this thing's gonna get bent if you get in an accident, and trimming a little bit out of it isn't really gonna reduce that much support. The main thing is you leave a little bit of beef around here. There is an inner gusset, so regardless, this thing's pretty well supported, even if you were like literally lop the ends off. Obviously the additional beam shrink helps it, but nonetheless, we've taken a little bit of support out of it. It's sacrificial in order to make everything function as OEM. So we're gonna go ahead, fit this back to the car. I may do a little bit more cleanup work. Honestly, I kind of cut it with a hacksaw or a sawzall, whatever you want to call it. And we probably should have just maybe section cut it. So I think next time if I were to do it, I'd probably just scribe a straight line, cut down through these first layer of fins, and then try to cut in with the sawzall to it, and then just clean it up and have a nice square cut. I almost want to do that and clean it up here, but to be honest, they look pretty much the same. It's kind of like this, and like that there, with like the same angle on the cuts. And so I might clean them up a little bit more to make it look even. And to be honest, nobody's ever gonna see it. So me spending any more time on this other than just making it clean enough so you don't cut your hands when you're touching it is kind of a waste of time. Like I said, if I were to do it again, I'd probably clean it up better, but we've done what we've done and it looks good enough to me. So we're gonna go ahead, slap this back on the car and get it fitted. We got a track day to be at tomorrow, so time is of the essence. We've finished the horn install. We have put the left bracket on the right and the right bracket on the left. I had to put a little bend in the back. I just took an adjustable set of pliers and just kicked this back a little bit to get a little room for the connector so it wouldn't be pinching itself or kind of hurting the horn when torqued down. These have now been tightened. I've clocked it so the outlet of the horn is facing the back of the car the way that it was, and the connector is over here. You can see the harness is just kind of looped with no stress at all. It's very, very OEM-like. You would never know if you pulled the bumper off that had been done. It literally has no modifications, essentially. We did barrel sand and Dremel out the corner of this a little bit for extra clearance for our 2-inch hose to pass through right here. That is super easy to do. Took us about 5 minutes. We threw a little bit of black spray paint on it to make sure it was good. The other little thing we had to do, which we showed you, was just trim down the back of the bumper support here. Both sides have been trimmed. There's plenty of clearance, no issue at all. We literally almost didn't have to do this, but we kind of went overboard and made sure there was plenty of clearance so that if we ever did have to work on it in the future, it would be easy to get at. As you can see, everything fits like OEM. There's no rubbing, gonna be no issue with anything functionality-wise. No harness is getting pinched, and there is gonna be no water entering your horns because they're still faced backwards, exactly like factory. And if you could see, it literally almost lines up with this trim panel piece perfectly on both sides. So it's very well protected, very OEM-like, very happy with the results. We're gonna go ahead and put the bumper support back on, put the bumper on for the last time, and fit the bumper inlets and the bumper hoses, and we'll show you that once it's done. We're still waiting on backing plates to show up. Eventually we'll slap the backing plates on and route it all the way through, but basically it's gonna pop through this hole here above the intercooler or heat exchanger, my bad. It's gonna pop through this hole here above the heat exchanger and zip tie to these two holes here. There's two big holes right there and right there. You can literally just loop through and hold the tube to the frame rail there, and then it's gonna drop down, come to the lower arm, zip tie across the arm, and up onto the brake duct backing plate. So there you go, let's get it done. All right guys, so we fitted the M2 CSR upper kidney grill vent screens. These actually from the factory just zip tie on, gone ahead and fitted it. Some of them can take two, some of them can only take one, really the way that they're cut. I mean, you could probably make it do two, but we did it in a way that you won't be able to see the zip ties from the front side, so it'll literally look like a factory install. You can hear there's literally no rattle on them really at all. Morgan's here cutting off all the ends, but these things are looking beautiful. Thank you, Morgan, for fitting them to the car. I've been working on just wrapping up the front end, which is all now torqued, and as you can see, these horns just fit in here so perfectly with the trimming we've done on the bumper support, as well as the room for the brake duct hose to pass through there. And as you can see here, our nice trimming as well for the brake duct cooler to sit and just have some extra room. This is what we've done on this side, but nonetheless, same exact thing. So super hyped on that. Bunch of clearance here at the horn. You'll see there's no issue there. And everything is literally like factory, no cutting, nothing, no cutting of wires, and no modifying of brackets. Literally everything is just slight, massaging, and everything works as factory. So very cool, very awesome that the M2 has factory parts like this. The very last thing is to install this lower vent, but let's take a look at that from the front. It looks amazing. It's gonna stop all the debris from going through, all that rubber, and stop a lot of rocks and stuff from hitting our sweet dine-in heat exchanger. So as you can see, it's already quite damaged. We want to prevent any more of that, so we're going to clean this up a little bit more. There's a few more chunks stuck under here and bees. We're really just going to try and clean all this out. We may drop the oil cooler. One thing I think I showed you guys was all these welds here on the Turner skid plate we've added. There's a bunch of them on the inside and the outside to brace that up. So this thing is going to be solid. It's going to be so much better than it was the last track day. Cannot wait to drive this thing. All right guys, here's the finished product. So I left one side out just to show you installing that real quick and easy, and to see what it does from back side. But basically from the back side, it just clips over the edge here in 3 spots kind of perfectly. It's actually really easy to take out. We may go ahead and trim this later. We're gonna run it for this first track day like this. This actually is gonna add a little extra support if a big rock does come through. We have also gone ahead and retrofitted this front lower piece. To get this in, you kind of have to do it with 2 people. The rear vents going from the back come in from this way, and the middle vent comes in from the front, and they kind of sandwich themselves on the actual bumper. And then you kind of just want to support it a little bit. For right now, we threw a couple self-tappers just through the bumper around it to hold it. We also drilled 1 hole here in the front to hold the wiring harness now that it's not held in by the factory front center vent, which had some spots for it to go across here. So gone ahead and kind of retrofitted that. It'll do. Once it's in here and the bumper support's in, it'll kind of just hold all this nice and flat. We're not too worried about it. It's a race car. Like, we really don't even need parking sensors. I don't believe the BMW M2 CSR bumper comes with parking sensors, so we're not going to be probably putting those on in the future. We'll probably code them out, but for now, we'll leave all this stuff. It's been a bit of work, but it's well worth it, especially for you guys tracking your car. So let's go ahead and get this bumper with all these M2 CSR front vents back on the car. All right guys, so once again, you can see all the way through both bumper vent holes down to our little area we're gonna pass through. You do have to cut this a little deeper than the bumper, as the bumper vent is thicker in this area. And so we've just trimmed this here, leave a little nub here. It basically lines up here with this foam, as well as this kind of lines up here with this little plastic trim piece. So it's kind of just a nice little cut, swoop through there. Done the same thing essentially on this side, lined up here, little swoop through. So that's the final look. Bumper foam is on, all in one piece. gonna hold strong when we throw the bumper on and keep everything located as it should. We're ready to throw this bad boy in, and I also didn't say anything, but these should also help support those inner pieces once on the bumper. So super cool. Let's get this bad boy in the car. I'm ready to see it. It's super rad. All right, guys, so we decided to just actually cut the bumper vents. Morgan wanted to keep it, but I opted to cut them, and we've come up with a solution we're both happy with. We've bent these tabs over slightly more to hook really nice. We've thrown just a few zip ties. We've got 4 per side just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. This thing is super solid, and I was just worried with the additional honeycomb that it was almost gonna block too much air and cause too much disturbance of airflow. And you know, with racing, airflow is obviously an issue. So if we can opt to have more airflow, that's what I wanna do. And so, as you can see here, he is cutting these out in real time. There you go, guys. There it is. This really would have added some support. You definitely could leave it if you want to. There's no reason to get rid of it other than I just think it looks better across the bottom. It more matches. I think the additional room for airflow is worth it. Now we'll have a little bit more airflow through there to our coolers and look more like the M2 CSR, which was not sporting these. It actually has basically the same thing, but from factory, they either trim them or they've just made them without all the honeycomb. It looks like there's just a little bit there in spots, almost similar to what we've done, but nonetheless, we've made our own M2 CSR front bumper. We'll be sure to keep bringing you this content of this M2 build. It's been really fun fitting all of these parts to the car. There's so much more to come. Stay tuned because the next bit of mods are gonna get extreme. Most of you guys have probably never seen this stuff, so we're gonna be showing you these parts in detail and getting everything just right on this car. And so I'm so excited to take this car to the track tomorrow and to continually take this car to the track, continue to dial this car in, get this thing ripping and being one of the most fastest competitive M2s, you know, this side of the state. So we'll be sure to keep you guys up to date. All right, guys, everything is in. We got the upper seal here in, all the bolts are in, the inner fenders are in, everything is tight. Brake ducts are looking sick. All the M2 CSR bits looking sick, gonna be super functional. Keep everything in place. We got those last 3 bolts in, looking dope, ready to rock. All right, guys, so we've made some progress to our brake duct cooling. We've got one basically done and ready to go. A little ripple right in there I'm gonna work out. Nonetheless, still doing a good job. Here you can see the hose has slipped over the brake duct. It's clamped on, so that's all good. You can see here where it's routed through, I have the inner fender in so you can see what I've done to trim it. So I basically just cut this kind of triangle shape in the inner fender. What I did is used a hole saw. I drilled a hole saw here, hole saw there, and a hole saw here, and then connected all 3 holes. Made a nice little kind of triangle shape. So this can kind of go up or down however I need it and just pop right through here. So that's super sweet. As I will show you on the other side, I've also zip tied it to the chassis. Here you will see I've zip tied it here. There's just some perfect holes that it can go through and zip tie. So that's gonna hold it very nice. This will kind of go down and zip tie to the lower arm and come across. We still have to get the backing plates on. The effects of having some actual brake duct cooling, but so cool. Been a long time mod I've been wanting to do. So let's go ahead and wrap this up and we'll show you the finished product. Let's talk about some brake ducts here for a second. Before I go ahead and install our prototypes on the car, I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at what we've done. These are going to be the 60 mil version. So this is a 60 millimeter hole. You see here, it'll slip right over the other one. The reason for making our own are due to the fact that we wanted them in 50 mil or exactly a 2-inch OD. And so the reason for that is the factory BMW M2 CSR brake ducts that go in the bumper have a 2-inch outlet coming off of it where we are utilizing some 2-inch ID hose to route the air to the brake ducts. And there isn't anything on the market for a 2-inch brake duct, so we went ahead and made our own. We will be listing these on the website once we finalize prototyping, but this is a quick look at what they're gonna look like. It's just a 1/8-inch piece of steel or aluminum actually cut out. They could be made out of steel. We're probably gonna use aluminum to keep the weight down. It's strong enough. There isn't much rigidity in these parts for the simple fact that they don't really do a whole lot. They just need to route the air there and be strong enough to hold the hose in place while turning and going over bumps, which these will do just fine. We will be offering them in different colors, potentially special colors, but at least just a raw finish and like a black finish. We will be offering them in 2 sizes, the 2-inch and the 60 mil, just in case you guys out there want to use the bigger hose, or if you're using a different brake duct or a different chassis. These will work for the F80 M3, F82 M4, F83 M4, and the F87 M2. We will be putting these up on the website. Not exactly sure of the price just yet, but roughly probably about the $300 range. They will come with some ducts if you do want them, which will be an additional cost, and some hose, or you can buy them just by themselves. So yeah, really cool, simple piece. We've gone ahead and welded in some tube. For now, we just have welded on a little lip to provide some extra grip for the hose clamp so that the hose doesn't pop off when turning. The original ones did not have that, and I think that's very important that we do incorporate that, because there's a chance for the hose to slip off. So yeah, I mean, here's a quick look at what they are. We've got some special hardware that's gonna go with them to make this all work. But enough talking about the parts. Let's go ahead and put them on the car. All right guys, here's a look of the Manji F8X brake duct backing plates installed on the car. You can see here, we've got a clamp that will be supplied holding our 2-inch hose on. We will also have the option to supply this hose, and we are gonna have both a full complete package that supplies your brake ducts here, or for you F80 guys, we'll supply also the brake ducts that go down here for the F80 cars. Enough hose to get the job done. You will have to cut it to length, basically just cutting it in half. It's a 10-foot length that we're gonna send. And then our brake duct backing plates with supplied hardware and spacers. You guys can see in here, we have a spacer that has been machined to the correct size. So we will be supplying all of that in the kits. Be sure to look for that in the coming weeks. We will be dropping this on the website here shortly. We're gonna do some real world testing, which you guys will get to see, and really just see how they function and make sure there is no issues. I may shrink this down just a little bit more, just to get a little bit more rigidity in the part, but honestly, it feels really good. We're gonna do some testing to make sure it is good. So be sure to look out for the next update video on these things, as we will be kind of walking you guys through the process of testing them. We may end up making a bracket that even holds the hose here to the lower arm. But yeah, overall, really nice. We will be tightening those down so it doesn't sit on the sway bar necessarily like this one, but for test fitting purposes, we've just kind of got it loosely in there. So we will be adjusting that there. You will have to keep that in mind to make sure that everything's good. You can see here the space between the brake duct backing plate and the rotor. There's plenty of space, so no issues with interference there, as well as no more pesky rocks getting stuck in your backing plates. We will be manufacturing some for the back of this car as well, but we just wanted to get these front ones done. So as you can see, our hose comes right through here, routed up to our nostrils, and just like OEM, but better. All right guys, so before we wrapped it up, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown and show you what it looked like. So brake duct backing plates are in there. We did torque these to 10 Newton meters. You can see here our clamps on, zip tied to the lower thrust arm. Our brake has been torqued down to 10 Newton meters as well, or I mean our rotor. And then we did torque our caliper to 81 foot-pounds. So be sure to do that. We put all of our underbody skid plates on. As you guys will be seeing in a later video, there's something here. Wasn't here when we started this project. So yeah, be sure to watch the next episode. We've got a lot more mods coming. The project has only just begun. The race car is getting so much cooler and so much better every time we put it on the lift, every time we take it to the track. So be sure to stay tuned, guys. You're not gonna wanna miss what's next. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. I can't wait to show you guys. So peace out. We'll see you guys in the next one. Woo! If you like this video, be sure to check out the next one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot. Thanks, and see you in the next one.